might not have read somewhere that the hugely respected think tank, the Council on Foreign Relations in Washington, described Nigeria's just concluded presidential election as having both promise and peril embedded within it. That was before the election took place, and now that it has, there are many who say that the promise is no longer secure, and they're still uncovering the perils of a much promoted but rather disheveled ballot. At first, it all seemed improbably glamorous after all the talking up by INEC spokespersons, but then along came the election itself to lay it bare. The myth was dispelled, and suddenly it became a story of violence, chaos, animosity, and brutal, punishing verbal fights, the fallout of which has been, for some at least, extreme, and is getting more so by the day. So how do we at once establish the enduring principle of justice and manage to get this country back on the right path of rectitude? Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by the former Deputy National Chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, Dr. Onwubuya Abraham Breakforth, currently Director General of the Global Initiative for African Development, an NGO that works on deepening democracy. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So where are we now in this country politically in your assessment? Because you've been in this Nigerian politics for a long time, not just as a former deputy chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, but also as both a former presidential candidate and a former governorship candidate. So in that regard, how do you assess where Nigeria currently is politically?
Well, I thought by now Nigeria could have advanced democratically, but at the moment it seems that we are moving back up front. In 1999, the democracy returned fully to Nigeria. I remember that in 1998 we started forming the PDP, then the G13 and G18, G34 and G18 came together to form the PDP. I was also part of that formation of PDP in 1998. The PDP was formed, election was held in 1999. We have a no-democratic government in 1999, and we are very happy. So we thought from 1999 to now, we are supposed to advance the democratic practice, but it's not the case.
Right. So what are the most serious issues that you think have retarded that development that you expected to happen going forward? Because, of course, you're also part of you're Director General of the Global Initiative for African Development. That's an NGO that works on deepening democracy. So you're measuring how far Nigeria has come democratically. I mean, my question was, what are the most serious issues that you think have retarded that deepening of democracy?
Yeah, I think the most serious issue is that our leaders are a bit selfish. They're seeing governance as a business instead of service. Because democracy is all about the government of the people, for the people, and by the people. Now, when people come to power, to make fame, to make money, not to render service. That's the problem we have. There's a departure from rendering service to the people and from rulership of the people. So I think that's where we miss it as a nation. But nevertheless, I also want to say that our democracy is still a young democracy. America is over 20 years in democratic practice. So Nigeria is still a growing democratic. It's a process. We're still growing.
Yeah, but for someone who's 63 years old, or almost 63 years old, you wouldn't call that person a spring chicken or something.
Yeah, of course, but in terms of consistent democracy, we are bearing, let me tell you about, from 1999 to now, it's how many years? This is almost 25 years to 30 years uninterrupted democratic process in Nigeria. So what I want to say here, very quickly, that our problem is that our leaders need reorientation. of the principle of democracy. But I want to say that because the way democracy was bad, 1999, the Nigerian people never believed that it would work. So in 1999, all kind of people jump into democracy. We have all kind of people, businessmen, and all kind of character went into politics because the real Nigerians sit aside. They don't believe
that is true.
They don't believe that the democracy will work. So we have these people that came into the first time, jump into democracy, into the democratic process, and we started getting it wrong. But nevertheless, there's a hope for our country. And that's why my organization played a major role in the democratic process.
Right.
Now, if you look at the governance from 1999 to 2003, 2003, to 2007, to that of 11, and you can see successive democratic process. We need to look at those Nigerians, those who are coming to lead us, the character, the people. What is the profile of these people who are coming to vie for office? Because the politics have been hijacked for ammunition by some group of persons. They have hijacked the system, so it's difficult for the right people to come into governance.
Well, let's assess the way the last election, well, we just had one,
yes,
which is obviously disputed by a lot of people. But let's look at the presidential candidates. What is your assessment of them?
Yeah, the presidential candidate, well, looking at the APC candidate, the PDP candidates, it's very interesting. Now you look at the APC candidate had been there as former AD governor from 1999 to 2007, 8 years so he had the experience. He had been there, he have seen, he have passed through the terrain. He had the experience, he have also involved in formation of other political parties, like the ACD in 2005, later AC in 2006, that Atiku as governor in 2007. So Govt Tinubu have been in the game of politics in this country. You have seen it all. So he's experienced and he's exposed, and he also built bridges across the country. Now looking at Atiku have been there also as the vice president of Nigeria from 1999 to 2007. Also contended as a presidential candidate of AC Action Congress in 2007. And they ran for the presidency, and they lost to Yaradua. And as a matter of fact, he had been in the system. He had been consistently running for presidency to date. Now, Peter Obi had been a governor for 8 years. It's not experience, but it's not as experienced as Tinubu and Atiku. Because Peter Obi, though he did well in Anambra, he had a good track record in terms of investment, economic development, infrastructural development in Anambra State. He had a good track record. But if you put the three of them, look at Atiku, look at Tinubu and Peter Obi, you find out that Atiku and Tinubu are fast in terms of experience and exposure.
Yeah, but isn't that what people wanted to see changed? That those two people, and this is not my opinion, because I really don't have one, but the assessment of what we've seen is that people wanted a change of guard from those old guard people that you were talking about to someone who has fresh ideas and a fresh approach to politics. That was the whole idea, wasn't it?
Please agree with me that every 8 years, Nigerians want change. Now, if you watch from 1999 to 2007, PDP continued to 2011 to 2015. When APC came on board, there was this change. Nigeria were coming for change. They wanted Buhari. Buhari was old man, experienced man. They wanted a change, and Buhari came 2015. As a change matter, for Nigeria. Now Buhari is concluding 8 years, another change. No, but the truth is that the Nigerian people are yearning for good governance. They want a fresh idea. They want somebody who is energetic, who can bring fresh air into the Nigerian politics. So, because we have not actually got it right, but for all these years. So, you will not blame a Nigerian man. It's the citizens who say, look, we want a change. And P2B seem to be the change. You know, being a former governor, being also a younger person compared to the two others. So Nigerians said, look, this one is younger. He's a former governor for 8 years. He can give us what we want. So there was this clamor for change. So, and that has been because Nigeria as a nation have not got it right in terms of having good leadership. I'm not condemning the former leaders, but in terms of advance, the way we expected, the expectation of Nigerians have cut short over the years.
Yeah, okay, I understand the point you're making, but let's look at it from the point of view of your NGO, the Global Initiative for African Development, which is, as we said, working on deepening democracy. However you look at it, we are where we are now. I mean, an election has taken place. It is disputed, but someone emerged as president-elect. It's led to a lot of verbiage, a lot of rhetoric, some of it quite fiery, vitriolic, and that appears to be potentially causing a lot of upset and could cause even deeper upset within Nigeria. As you assess the right way that democracy ought to be practiced in this country, I wonder if you agree with those who say that the federal government and the security agencies seem to be taking sides in this deepening conflict between the APC and the Labour Party.
Well, I want to say quickly that the security agency has a major role to play to protect the integrity and the sovereignty of our nation, to ensure that there's no violence, the nation doesn't go to a point of anarchy. So the security agencies are not part of deepening the problem.
Well, they're not supposed to be.
They're not supposed to be.
The perception is
that
they're taking sides.
But you see, the security agency, for me, I don't see them as taking sides. I've seen them as doing what they ought to do.
Right.
Because they must protect the country first. Before we talk about leadership, the country first. They must have a country, we can rule a country. So as a